It's like Home Alone but Antifa instead of Kevin. He could be a murderer, or worst, a leftist. It's like Ocean's 11 but Anarchy. Hi, my name's Rachel and today I am talking about what to do in case of fire. This video was commissioned by someone. That is what they asked me to call them. Hello, someone. By the way, sorry this is so late, which I continue to say as I work through my backlog of commissions. I know y'all keep asking, when will I turn the back on? I don't know. When they're all done, that's when. I'm almost done-ish. I suspect someone wanted me to watch this because it features 6 anti-capitalist anarchists as the protagonist. It was indeed right up my alley. But I do have some critiques and I almost wish that it was even more anti-capitalist. Like, this is anarchist but funny, so it kind of missed the mark on like the full breadth of commentary it could have been making. When you Google what to do in case of fire, by the way, what comes up is remember to get out, stay out, call 911 or your local emergency number, yell fire several times, and go outside right away. Which you'd think I would have known not to just Google the phrase what to do in case of fire, but nope, no brain cells up here, just quotes from cartoons I watched as a kid and old commercial jingles. What to Do in Case of Fire is a German film from 2001 and its actual name is Was tun, wenn's brennt? Isn't my German super good? I had never heard of this movie before, not that my parents ever would have let me watch such a thing, or not that my dad would have ever let this anywhere near his house because my dad is anti-fascist. He hates anything that's anti-fascism, which is a weird thing to take up as a cause, but you know, whatever. I'd never heard of this movie before. It was only available to watch on YouTube, and hilariously I had to have Carlos download the subtitles for me and add them onto the film itself. I love watching foreign films. I use subtitles for everything anyway, so this worked out for me. So I've talked about other things I watch with subtitles on, which is The 3%, which is a Brazilian television show that's like dystopian, but I also like this other dystopian show. I cannot remember what country it's from, but it's called The Rain. It's on Netflix, where the rain is like killing people. If it rains, you die. And this girl and her brother are like locked away in a bunker trying to keep out of the rain. So this movie is Antifa the movie, but it's a comedy. We open up. It's like an old videotape, right? So you're seeing like old videotape plus the credits as if you're watching this on a film projector, and you're hearing the main protagonists who are, you know, who had done like the videotaping, and it says Group 36 training film. You see a map of Berlin in 1987. By the way, this is like history and politics, both of which I wasn't allowed to learn about, so this was very helpful for me. It explains that one of the protagonists, I can't remember which, explains that Allied occupation forces were ruling over the city of Berlin, and almost every like place that people had been squatting had been evacuated. There was only one block that remained, which was Machnow Street, which was in the American sector, and then we see a bunch of people in a riot against police. They're in this like really shitty neighborhood, really shitty looking neighborhood. There's like the rioters on one side and the police on the other side, which have like riot gear and shields and stuff, and they're throwing bottles, and then the title comes, Was tun, wenn's brennt? My German's non-existent. Then we get freeze frames of our protagonists who are the rioters, and they look very much like 90s punk. It's hilarious. The haircuts, super fun. So we see Tim, Flo, Nelly, Mike, Terror, and Hota. They're leading this riot. The police bring out a water tank. They're shooting the rioters with water, not like water gun, like a water tank. Then the protagonists are narrating, like basically being tongue-in-cheek, like, oh, these people, the rioters, they're so disgusting, but they could be saved. They should just tinker with a bomb. And then the rioters come on screen to explain how to do a bomb attack. They're like holding up signs explaining like the different steps of carrying out a bomb attack. Like, buy all your materials at a large supermarket chain. Basically just like don't lead the police back to you, which is what ends up happening. They create this bomb, and then it's all being filmed on a camcorder, is that what you call it? Camera. And they put this bomb inside of an abandoned building. They gather together in front of the camera, and Tim, the leader of the group, says, what to do in case of fire? And the rest of them say, let it burn. And then they give the camera the finger. So it begins in 1987 and it ends, like the footage of this, like it speeds up, and then we're in the year 2000. So then at the building that they were at, that they put the bomb inside, which apparently had been abandoned for years, which really nobody went in there. Okay, whatever, I'll allow it. Two people, not on camcorder, we're on regular cameras now. They walk up to the building and they're like, oh, this building has been unoccupied. The house used to be occupied by Americans, and they didn't bomb this region in 1945 because they wanted it for themselves, which I can see why I've never watched this movie, because we're already at the beginning and we're shitting on Americans, which is totally fair. It just never would have been allowed in my house because of that one line right there. No. So the two people, there's a lady and a dude, and the lady's trying to open the door and she's like, oh, I can't open it, something won't budge. It's the bomb. And the guy goes, he's like, I can do this. And he like runs up and shoulder checks the door. And the bomb goes off. We then switch over to, it's still present day. There's a protest outside of a Mercedes-Benz office, and police are there, and they're all talking, and Tim and Hota are there. Hota has since lost his legs, and Tim is still doing the same shit he was doing back in 1987. So he's running around like spray painting dicks on the police cars, and they're still filming each other. It's just Tim and Hota. And then several policemen hear that a bomb has gone off, and then they leave, and you see like all the spray painted dicks, which hilarious. Tim and Hota have no idea that the bomb that went off is the one that they set years and years ago. They go back home to their house, which is, they're just like squatting in this piece of shit building, and their landlord shows up. He's like, I just want to demolish this fucking building and I can't do it while you're inside. Please leave. And Tim's like, we have so much work to do. It's like my kid when I tell him, you have got to get off the video game. He's like, I'm working. And the landlord's like, I will offer you a place in a different city. Just get out of the building. They say no, and he's like, I'll just kick you out on the street. And they're like, okay, sure, Jan. This will be relevant later. So Tim is then seen in a department store. He's loading up chemicals into a bag, and in the security room, all of the cameras are like staring at Tim. And then he gets suspicious and he runs, and security personnel are after him. He hides under a bed, which how they did not find him is a mystery to me, but okay, again, I'll allow it. He gets away. Meanwhile, by the way, the police are at the house where the bomb went off, and nobody knows who set this bomb or why. The police are there and they're trying to figure it out. By the way, the people who were at the bomb, they're okay. Minor injuries. Don't know how that's possible considering they were like, all that was standing between them and that bomb was a door that the dude shoulder checked. But alright, again, we're just going to allow it because it's a comedy, okay? It's like Ocean's 11 but Anarchy. The police commissioner shows up and he says, oh, the bomb was the work of the anarchists who want to sabotage building projects, that the police will question every left-wing lunatic in town. Okay, DeSantis, calm down. And this investigator shows up and he says, you know, I want them all, I want everybody looking for the leftists. If they start crying about human rights, arrest them. Which, yeah, sounds about right. So Tim gets away from the department store and he needs to make a phone call, but he doesn't have any money on his phone card or something. And this lady, he asked her, hey, can I borrow yours? And she's like, you can just come to my house. Okay. She lets him into her house. She lets him use the phone, and he's like using like left-wing like code words on the phone, and she comes up in her pajamas and just like smiles at him and then walks away. It was really weird, and all I could think was, ma'am, you're just gonna let a strange man into your house? Like, are you trying to bone? You couldn't maybe find not a stranger? Like, he could be a murderer, or worse, a leftist. He's like, the anti-cement brigade strikes again. We've liberated the mall to protest the capitalist pigs on Potsdam Square, raising low-rent houses by multinationals. And she's just over here like, hi. What? So the police start raiding houses and buildings looking for evidence on who might have done the bombing. So they're searching like areas that they know that leftists typically squat. They raid the building that Tim and Hota live, which they should have just taken the offer from their fucking landlord. But the whole house is like razor wired and booby trapped. It's like Home Alone but Antifa instead of Kevin. By the way, Antifa is not a group. Anyways, the cops get in. They take all the tapes that they have because they've been taping themselves doing anarchist shit for years. They have tons and tons and tons of tape. And Tim wasn't there. It was just Hota. And so they don't arrest Tim because he wasn't there. He was out doing some other fuck shit. And they won't take Hota because he's an amputee and they're afraid of what the news will say. But they take all of the films, including the footage from the beginning of them creating and setting up that bomb right in front of the building that is now completely demolished. So all the evidence they need to prove who did it, they just took. They don't know it, but they have it. The guy who said if the leftists cry about human rights, just arrest them. His name is Manowski. He's a police investigator, and he gets mad because a federal investigator comes in, and Manowski is like, "Aw, this is my job. Aw, the poor cop got his feelings hurt." So in their apartment, Hota explains to Tim that the police searched the entire neighborhood, but they found the evidence, and they cataloged, and they know exactly which house it came from, but they haven't screened the films yet. Who knows when they're going to screen the films? And he's like, once they do, we're fucked. And they're like, we should just go to Poland. Why haven't you gone to Poland sooner is my question. Again, we're gonna allow it. Hota is like, wait, but all the others are in the film. They're shown their faces. We all showed our faces. So they're gonna come for them even if we leave. And Tim is like, oh, whatever, fuck that. And Hota is like, I thought we didn't betray our friend, is going to be relevant later. And so he says, I have a whole address book. I know where everyone is. And so he shows Tim Mike's address, and Mike's like, and Tim's like, I'm not setting foot in that rich ass neighborhood. It turns out that they are the only two who maintained these like ideologies. The rest of them have like moved on and become, you know, corporate schmucks or just regular, you know, everyday capitalists. Mike is an advertising CEO. They reunite, and Tim is like, fuck off, man. Hota is really happy to see them, which is really interesting, and you find out like why that's interesting later. They find Nellie, who now is a mom of 2. She's like, wait, what do you mean the bomb went off? That wasn't even a real bomb. Because she's like put all of her anarchist activities behind her. Like, she's just a regular diaper changing, you know, fun having, well, fun for the kids. She's just a regular stay-at-home mom now. She's just changing diapers. She's feeding her kids. She's doing her work. She has a job too, I guess. No telling what that was, but yeah. Anyway, she's confused. They go talk to Terror, who's now either a judge or a lawyer. Totally different from who he was in the beginning, which was the guy who was like peeing on the cop. He freaks out throughout the whole movie and is basically just like, let's just turn ourselves in. I don't want to do anything illegal, which is like a total 180 from where he was in the beginning, literally peeing on the cops. And Flo had a fling with Tim back in their old Anarchy days, shows up and is like, let's all work together to get footage back or destroy it. We can break in and steal it. So Flo, Nellie, Mike, and Terror enter the apartment building that Tim and Hota still live in, and they're like, wow, this is dingy. Because they are so separated from like the life that they used to live that Tim and Hota are still living. For some reason, Terror has a dog. I don't know why there was a dog. They go up the stairs and Nellie is like, what is that smell? What do you think the smell is? It's the smell of your anarchy past coming back to haunt you. So they all talk, and Flo is like, I've only got until Friday to do this thing, to, you know, do an Ocean's 11 to get the footage back. Nellie is like, I don't want to use violence, even though she was the one making the bomb. Terror is like, I don't want to break any laws. So they are completely different from who they used to be. So one of the plans that they have is to pretend to be a journalist and convince federal investigator that came in to let them in for an interview on the situation so that they can get all the info that they need about the building and find out like where the evidence is held. But Tim is a terrible actor, and he goes in and he starts being like, you know, he starts engaging in like political argument with the federal investigator right when they find the footage. It's like, Tim, why did you shoot yourself in the foot? And then Manowski, the non-federal investigator who like knew them in the past, he's like, wait a second, why did the Fed let some people in here to look around? Why is he letting journalists in here? What the fuck? So he goes after them and he's like, something ain't right. The federal investigator realizes that something's not right too, finally, because he's a fucking idiot. It took him way too long. And they're running, so they run the fuck out of this building. And Manowski, who's basically like Pekka Rollins, is like, 6 people duped the Fed schmuck. And I'm like, yeah. Yeah, I mean, sure. But like, are you really any better? You're kind of bad at your job too. They decide breaking in and stealing isn't going to be possible, except they go back to that plan later. Kind of wish-washy. It's back to chapter 7 from the beginning. Time to build a bomb. So they're smoking a bunch of pot, building a bomb. They're all like taking care of Nellie's kids. There's like this weird scene where they build the bomb and like the trial bomb went off and it's like shooting foam everywhere. And it's like anarchist New Year for them. They're very excited. They still know how to do their anarchy things. So then they throw papers out the window, call the cops on themselves. They're watching an old film of themselves while they wait for the cops, and Hota freaks out because he sees back when he has legs, and he gets very angry. Like, up to this point, Hota has been very happy-go-lucky, like so excited to have the gang back together, and then he sees his legs and he's like, you all deserted me except for Tim. You all abandoned me. Like, we're not supposed to abandon our friends, you all abandoned me. Nobody was there for me except for Tim. The cops come and they hide on the roof. The gang all hides on the roof so the police will come grab their shit, but they can't get Hota up to the roof because of him being in a wheelchair. So he's like, they never arrest me anyways, just leave me here, it's fine. And you can tell like something's going on with him. The cops come, they hide on the roof so that, you know, they won't get arrested. They come grab all of the shit as evidence, including inside of a box, a bomb that they planted, which the bomb will go to the evidence locker. They blow it up, all the tapes are gone. So they think, oh, we've dealt with the problem. Tim's like, we should all live together again and just keep doing this shit. And they're like, Tim, we have jobs. We can't just do anarchy. And there's this super dramatic scene of him in slow motion doing a bunch of vandalism and getting arrested like a fucking idiot. Manowski is told, hey, you need to chill the fuck out. Actually, maybe retire. But obviously he's the stickler and he's not going to do that. So, because he's like the guy that makes being a cop his whole personality. So it turns out that when everyone hid on the roof and Hota stayed in the apartment, they all came back and they're like, where's Hota? I'm sure he's fine. He put himself inside of a different box, and so the police carried him out with all the evidence unbeknownst to them. Worst cops ever. But guess who else is in the police building? Tim, because he got arrested. The cop Manowski is leaving and sees him and is like, that's the fucking guy from earlier. To make matters worse, Hota is locked inside of the evidence building. He can't get out. There's a phone inside of it. He's calling everybody and none of them are answering. He's leaving messages. Just like how when he got run over by the water tank and lost his legs, he felt like they abandoned him. He felt like he's being abandoned now. Hota leaves a message with terror. Tim gets home. His landlord shows up and Hota just happens to call the landlord while Tim's there, and Tim's like, I'm gonna need to take your phone. Tim's like, I'm on my way. Terror also gets the message, tries to rally everybody, finally like getting some of his courage back. Tim stays on the phone with Hota the whole time while he's breaking into the police building, which I was like, oh, the friendship! He's passing people sleeping in the police barracks while he's like on the phone with Hota trying to like talk him down. He's passing the goddamn attack dogs, and while he's at the dogs, Hota is like, oh, good, you're here, because Hota hears somebody come in, and you're like, wait, Tim's not there. Who the fuck is there? It's the fucking cop Manowski, and he's there to arrest him. The others are breaking in, and meanwhile we're listening to a villain monologue. He's like, you're alone, face it, you're alone, you anti-fascist warriors. Flo, the fucking idiot, calls all of them while she's at her engagement party and they're in the barracks. So now all of Berlin knows you're here. Tim and Manowski get into a physical fight. He's about to kill Manowski. The rest of them walk in and stop him from killing the cop. They handcuff the cop to the wall, but then Tim has like a change of heart and he leaves the cop the keys so that he can get away. He's not such a bad guy after all. He's just an anarchist. The alarm goes off. They're running away. The bomb's gonna go off and the whole fucking police force is after them. The Fed guy, who's like super embarrassed that they have like swindled him, gets on the loudspeaker and was like, they're behind a door, and he's like, this is the police. No shit. Who else would it be? Are you legally mandated to say this is the police? Why are you saying that? He's like, come out with your hands up. So they come out, the door's open, and all of a sudden the cops are getting fucking sprayed because they took over the fucking water tank. How the turntables. Pretty serendipitous that they just like drive that shit right out of the police force building. They bust open the gate. The cops are still in pursuit of them. And who drives up to save them at the last minute? Flo from her engagement party. And the cop who wanted to like catch them so bad, but they ended up like giving him the keys so that he could get away. He's just watching all of this go down and he sees the Fed who took over his job like didn't catch them, and he's like laughing. He's asked by the Fed, who were those guys that, and Manowski's like, oh no, they were wearing masks. I have no idea. That's so weird. They board a train and they light the film of them creating the bomb on fire, and they say, what to do in case of fire? Let it burn. Same thing they did when they made the bomb all those years ago. And then they walk off into the sunset together. There wasn't as much discussion surrounding like economic ideas as I'd have liked here. I was very surprised, and this just goes to show like how much of a US person I am and how like we refuse to reckon with our own history in a way that Germany regularly does. But like there was one part where Nellie was like, it's people like you who that allowed the Nazis to rise to power. I can't remember who she said that to, but I was like, wow, we don't really reckon with our own American history the way that Germans do with theirs. I just wish that it had dived more into those conversations about why they were anarchists and what made them leave. And there was one convo that says, like, Mike is saying, "You're wasting your life," and Tim says that's capitalist bullshit, and that he doesn't want to be like Mike, and Mike's like, "You don't want to or you can't," and it just ended there. And I was like, no, do more. Do more. I also wish we could have seen not just an expansion on that conversation, but really any perspective from Nellie about why she chose to leave Anarchy and how she felt like she could not raise kids under the conditions that she was living in when she was, you know, doing like anarchist rioting and stuff like that, and why she felt like she had to stay within, you know, living in like this capitalist society. Anarchists on the political spectrum are the far left. They're pretty much as anti-capitalist as it gets. They're anti-authority of basically any nature. They don't like any sort of government. They find government in like as a general concept to be tyrannical. Anarchism is a political philosophy and a movement that questions all justifications for any kind of authority, and they want to abolish those institutions because they think that those institutions inherently come with social hierarchy. They don't want governments, they don't want nation states, no capitalism. It wants like self-governed societies based on voluntary institutions. So no hierarchy and no sort of like state. We had a lot of words thrown around like capitalist pig and fascists and leftists and anti-fascists, but we never really had the necessary conversations in this movie to have like any sort of impact. I felt like it couldn't really decide what it wanted to be. I wasn't sure why 4 out of the 6 of them were anarchists in the first place, because the backstory is never given, and I feel like that could have really set more of like a stronger tone in the beginning for the, you know, rest of the movie. I wasn't sure why they took up this cause in the first place, and then why they left behind this anti-government squatting and building bombs lifestyle and never came back. Sometimes things left unsaid in a movie is great. Other times it sort of like leaves a vacuum and causes the emotional impact that you're trying to hit to just miss the mark. This movie, I think, is the latter. The most emotional impact came from Hota finally breaking down over the loss of his legs and revealing that he felt abandoned by all of them. I love heist stories, particularly I love A Group of Unlikely Friends, I love stories of reunited friends, and I love political commentary, particularly if it is anti-capitalist. So this hit on the heist aspect. I liked the comedy. It's akin to like Ocean's 11, but I was hoping for more of like anti-capitalist Six of Crows. I love the emotion more than I loved the humor, or I love emotion in general more than I love humor. I want to feel something more than I want to laugh. So all in all, I like this movie. I don't really rate movies. I guess I should probably start. I guess I would give this, if I'm rating movies 1 through 5, this is like a 3.5 out of 5. If you know something that is like anti-capitalist Six of Crows, please give me recommendations. I think this is a good film to watch. I think especially just to like give you an outside perspective of like how things are talked about in other countries that they're not talked about the same in the United States. It's very interesting. So good movie. I liked it. It was funny. I had a silly goofy time. I just wish that I had had a more impactful time. But I'd watch it again to see like all the stuff that I missed the first time. Alright, that's it. Let me know if you have any recs for anti-capitalist heist novels. I'm really excited about Tempest of Tea though by Hafsa Faizal, because I do really like Hafsa Faizal's other books. In general, I am a fan of, oh, you know, actually Gilded Wolves is probably like anti-capitalist Six of Crows, right? Kind of. And I like that book. I want more kind of like that, but more, not to quote Kylo Ren. Okay, that's it. That's all I have to say. Thank you for watching. Leave your comments and questions down below. Sometimes movie reviews are a thing I will do. Sometimes. Okay? Alright. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye! Hi, it's me, Trash Can Rachel, and I have to say thank you for being a friend to my Therapy Girls patrons, and those are Alexander, Allie Magpie, Amanda M, Ashley B, Bubble Tea, Cami, Chris, Claire, Des Roberts, Emperor's New Blues, DJ Krimmer, Harley, Jack and Jill, John E, Casey McKenzie, Kate W, Kelly K, Quinn, Lady Kittybug, Lex, Lula, Molly, Alice, Peggy Lou, Witch Bitch, Rain, Samar, Scarlett, Shiny, SMK, and Zachary. Thank you all so much for being a friend. And before I go, I have to say thank you for being a friend to my Potato Starch Marxist patrons, and those are AM Angel, Aiden, Alicia, Amanda B, Andy, Angelica, Anita, Artie the Ninth, Ashley H, Aubrey P, Ava, BB, Beck, Blythe, Bookish Barbie, Ray, Bree, Brenda, Bryn, Caitlin, Carlin, Catherine, Kathy, Chris, CJ, Colleen, Corwin, Corey, Darren, Deborah, Diet Goth, Dorian, Dorothea, Ebby, Eden, Elise, Ember, Emily A, Emily L, Grace, Gracie, Hannah C, Hannah T, Harpy Kuro, Hello There Darlin, Ilianaka, India Inks, JM Tennant, Jackal All Trades, Jay is on Olympus, JT, Jen with 2 N's, Jennifer T, Jenny G, Jillian, Jules, Kaylee, Kat, Katya, Kiala, Kendra, Kylie, Laughing Cat Dog, Laura, Lauren B, Library of Scars, Lisa B, Liz Cardigan, Luna Moth, Lustful Octopus, Martin, Maddie, Marquita, Maz, Malara, Meow Meow, James, Nat, Natalie, Never, Nicole G, Nicole R, Nicole T, Nikki, Nyan Binary, Paige E, Paige P, Foxglove, Pixel Stars, Pierre Raytheon, Quill, Rachel B, Raquel, Rat Sarah, Reba, Rebecca, Ren, Robin, Rowan, Other Rowan, Sequoia, Samantha M, Sarah H, Sarah K, Sarah the Bear, Scarlett, Shanae, Shannon, Shayna, Sheena K, Sean, Sierra, Stephanie, Talia, 3 Old Dogs, Toast, Trash Can Teddy, Dido, Phoenix, Valentine, and Writer A. Thank you all so much for being a friend.